Hi, I'm Colin.
I'm Ian.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Drew.
We're the Gamesmiths, and we're here to play Runic for our second try-through. Thanks for coming back to us. To learn how to play the game, Ryan's going to kick us off with the rules.
All right. Runic, the Titans of Nanesh. When we discovered it, we had but meager purpose. We used it to light our houses, power our carriages, and protect our cities. Unknowingly, our practicality and affinity for what is still inaccurately called harmonious magics taught us the first of the series of harsh lessons about Ontos. It demands balance. That balance was paid for by chaotic ruin that still mars most of the West. As chaos waxed, it merely lightened Harmony's burning fire in the East. It merely lighted Harmony's burning fire in the East. The escalating rise and congealing of magics paved the way for the 6 old orders and for the runic scribing tradition. Some of the ancient knowledge was given from master to student on specifically chosen stones, which, as the age passed, migrated themselves to the inner cities, while some passed on parchment to the great twin libraries north of Palismit. No doubt, I hope my own small contribution in these letters, especially as it relates to the Titans and the beginning of the Age of Reason, will find its way to you and be counted amongst the numerous works in the archives. And that's from Ravier's Collected Letters. Runic is a tactical card game where you are a Titan Lord Mage in a contest to grow your legacy by acquiring dominion over the broken realms of Nanesh. On your turn, manage your legion of mages. You're going to be able to deploy them to cities, or frontiers, activate them for a specific effect, assault a city to conscript a mage or loot a rune stone, and quest at a frontier to call for a mage ally. The Ontos arcane essences must be balanced along the way. Your legion One more time. The Ontos must be balanced, and the only way your legion can strengthen is to make equal use of both chaotic and harmonious mages. Legacy points, represented by these scrolls, are your score. The game will end once you have gathered 7 of these, or one of the frontiers, which are represented by these draw piles here, are depleted. The player with the most, at that point, the player with the most legacy points wins and secures their rightful place in history. So we've done the setup here at the initiate level. There's some initiate and some advanced stuff. We're just going to go over the initiate rules here. Everybody here, so this is a 2-player game. We're going to be playing this with 2 people. And
Overhead.
We have each of our power cards here and so everyone has their setup. The setup for a 2-player game. Here's one player, here's the other player. Each player is going to start off with a hand of 6 cards, and it's one of each of these. And all of these cards here, as you can see on the back, are your mages. They were talking about things needing to be in the order of chaos and harmony. And the harmonious mages are these white cards, and the chaotic mages are these gray cards. And you'll notice you have kind of you have one of each card over here. So these are basically all the cards, all the mages that we're playing with. There's 6 different ones, and like I said, you have your kind of board representing them here. So what you're going to do is, as you play your cards, you basically are going to kind of level up your battalion here. And so like as you play more Droon cards, you're going to stack them up here like this, and now your Droon is level 2, and it kind of does the next like more powerful thing. So there are cards that have X effects, like this Petitioner says draw X mages and then return all but 1. So that's essentially draw X cards and then put all but 1 of them back. X is always the number of mages that you have here, whatever your power is. So the first time you play a Petitioner, so I can, like, for example, play a Petitioner on my turn, and that would like power this up. So if I just used it, like the first time I used it, I could, turn it sideways and draw 1 card, and then keep it, and I just get whatever that is. Then the next time I use it, I can power it up by adding another petitioner here, and then since I have 2, when I use it, I'm going to draw 2 cards and then put back all but 1. So, the more powerful this gets, the deeper in the deck I get to dig to find the card that I want. And so there are other things like look at X mages in your opponent's hand and discard 1. So the first time you use it, you get to look at 1 card. So you basically just get to pick 1 card and discard it. And then once it's up to like level 3, you can get 3 cards out of their hand and pick 1 and discard it. So that's kind of just like basically how the game works. Is you're going to kind of power up your mages over here, and the goal is to either get these rune stones, or I'm sorry, these legacy points. They're these rune stones that have legacy points, and we'll go over specifically how to do that. But if you get one of these, you just get the point value that's on them. So that's 1, these ones are 2, and then finally 3. And both stacks go that way. 1, 1, 2 2s, and a 3 at the bottom. The other way that you get points is everyone will have like it's called a title. Everyone has a title, and based on your title, so this one is like the sword icon, which are these red ones here. And this is Ward Breaker. And so this takes into account the total power of what's going on here. So once this gets up to level 5, so if I'm a Ward Breaker, I'm incentivized to get these sword cards. And you'll see the other titles. I forget where I put them. Oh, here they are. Duh. So you can either go with essentially a color or a shape. And the colors are red, blue, purple, which red, blue, purple there. And then the shapes are triangles, which represents everything in this column, and circles, which represents everything in this column. So you can see here the threshold's a little higher because you have more opportunities. So if you have Light of the East or Plaguebringer, you have to have 6 total in like the left side.
Okay.
And as soon as you put your 6th card down, you'll score a point. And as soon as you put your 7th card down, you'll score another point. And as soon as you put your 8th card down, you'll score another point. So essentially there's opportunities for 3 points coming from whatever your title is. And you get to choose this at the beginning of the game. Then there are... so there are these, there are this, and then you can also get points by using Drune. Is another way that you can score points. And I'll go over all these a little more in a second. This is your scorecard right here. Whatever is facing your opponent is your score. So we both start off, right now it would be 2-0. But like if I would say, put down my 5th card, I go up to 5 and I'm a Ward Breaker, I turn this to 1. And now I've got 1 point, 2, 3, and you flip over 4, 5, 6, and 7. And at 7, somebody wins the game. Or whoever gets to 7 wins the game, so you're done. There are effects that raise the number of points that need to win the game. If you run into one of those, then just flip over and just remember, just flip over and keep going. And remember that you have 7 from the other side. So then here, just so everybody knows, these are all of the leftover. Both players' hand start with 1 copy of each of these. And then there are these decks where you need to go get draw the rest of your cards for the game. You'll have a choice. All of the Chaos cards are over here with this gray side, and all of the white cards are over here with the Harmony side. So if you want to draw, you're going to be choosing. It doesn't show it on the back, but you're going to be choosing if you want to draw a white card or a gray card. And you need to decide that. So, all right, so we'll go over this a little more. So each of the cards, like I already said, here's the Mage type, which is up in the corner there. And then the name, so this is the Pyromancer. And then each one has an X effect, a regular effect, and then some flavor text down at the bottom there. So we'll go over. what you can do on your turn. So, let's see. So, okay, players alternate taking turns. Each turn has 5 phases, and you have a reference card here for that. So the first phase is an action phase. You can do exactly one action. You will take exactly one action. You can't pass, and unless you have no legal actions to take, then you must forfeit. Your actions are deploy a mage, activate a mage, assault a city, or quest at a frontier. And those are explained more on the backside, which is the action reference. So if you need to reference this while we're playing the game. First one is deploy a mage. This is going to choose an area where you do not have a mage and place a mage from your hand face up to next to that area on your side. So that's going to be like I have a mage here, and I'm going to say I want to put. We're going to have these. I believe the game. Yeah, they start like that. So this is kind of a card that you can see face up. These are just random cards that you draw, and these are like the cities / rune stones. So or the cities where you get the rune stones. So and just so we remember, here are the cities. These are the outposts. So the kind of the big stack of cards is the city. The little one's the outpost, and then the flipped over ones are the frontier. You may only deploy a mage to the frontier if you already have a mage to deploy to the outpost of that frontier. So in other words, you can't place your first card here. And deploying means basically you're going to take one out of your hand and you're going to be like petitioner. I'm going to put this petitioner here on this frontier. And then next time I can go, okay, I'm going to put this pyromancer out here. So first I need to choose whether I want to go here or here. But once I put one here, then I'm also allowed to go here. Does that make sense? Once a mage is deployed, any of their while deployed, so they're kind of infinity symbol effects, if they have one, which is the enchanter has one, and the pyromancer has one. Are enabled until the mage is not on the map. Your mage is opposed if your opponent's mage is also deployed in that area, including frontiers. So in other words, if Ian's my opponent here, he will have mages on his side of the table too, opposing my mages. And so these two mages are opposed. I guess, these 4 mages are all opposing each other. This mage sitting here by themselves is unopposed. So once you have it deployed, so you can, activate a mage. So any of the deployed mages that you have here, you can turn sideways to activate and trigger its effect. Turning a mage sideways is merely a marker that has been activated and does not affect anything else about the mage. Unless a game effect says so, activated mages do not become unactivated. So then the next thing that you can do, and so that would do, so this one, when you activate it, place this mage at another area, assault it now if it's opposed at a city, and assault if now opposed at a city. So like this is a city here, and I could say, okay, I'm going to do this to move my enchanter over here, and so it allows me to place this mage in another area, and then assault if now opposed at a city, and I am. So I'm opposed, so there's something, so I have assault, and I'll explain assault right now. Choose a city where you have a mage deployed and initiate the assault. Unless otherwise stated, you may not assault with a mage the turn it is deployed. So you can't play and then assault. You have to play it, pass a turn, and then assault on the next turn with it. If the mage is opposed, your opponent will also be assaulting the city. So in this scenario, the enchanter is assaulting the city against this other enchanter, so now we're essentially both assaulting the city. Determine the victor. So you're going to check, if your mage is opposed, then the player with the highest level mage is the victor. If there is a tie, there is no victor. Your level, remember, is what's tracked over here. So at this point, we're both level 1 enchanters. We only have one enchanter card over here, so it's a tie. If for whatever reason I had 2 enchanters over here like this, then I would win. And if it's unopposed, if there is no one there, I win because I'm unopposed. If there is a victor, they take the topmost card from the assaulted city. It is either a mage or a rune stone. So that's how you score these points out of here, is you assault the city when you have a tougher mage than the other person, or if it's unopposed, if no one's there. You can then take that card, score a point. If you conscript a mage, so if you, say, had a fight here over the pyromancer, whoever won would take the pyromancer card and put it into their hand.
And then you flip over to replace?
Yes. In order to loot a rune stone, the mage you're assaulting with must overcome the runic, which protects the rune stone, by have sufficient ward break. And ward break is the enchanter and the pyromancer's skill. And if you can see, it's an X skill, so its ward break is always equal to its level. So right now, I would be a level 2 enchanter. So this guy would be a 2, and that's higher than this 1, so it would be good enough to get it. And it's higher than this one, who's a level 1 enchanter. So in this case, I would do 2. I would kill this guy, and then I'd win. And then so for that, I would get to take this back. If you cannot loot the runestone, you simply forego gaining the runestone. Do not discard it in this case. Then the current player empowers their legion with the assaulting mage, and then the opposing player empowers their legion with the assaulting mage. So essentially what happens is kind of the mages come out, they do their thing, and then they go here to empower. So in this scenario, I attacked Ian. I'm going to win. And both of ours, then, if the order matters, well, the order does matter. It won't always matter, but the order is, so we'd fight, and then the next thing I would do is pillage, so I would win this because I meet the conditions. And so I would take this, turn myself up to 1 there for taking that. Then I would take this card and empower, which means I'd put it here. And now I have a level 3 enchanter. And then Ian would do the same thing, go back there, and now his enchanter's at level 2. And that's kind of how you power them up over time. If, in this scenario, though, my enchanter is the 3rd one here, but remember before we were talking about that these always have to have balance. You have to balance chaos and harmony.
Right.
So that's what this is talking about. Your chaos and harmony in the same colors can never be more than 1 off. So right now it's 2 to 1, that's fine. But as soon as I add it 3 to 1, well, now this is 2 more than this. So that's illegal. And I instead have to discard this enchanter instead of getting to power up. So mine would just stay at 2 because I was unbalanced. I was using too much harmony and not enough chaos. And so now my energy's gone out of whack and I lose this card. So I would want to try and use my pyromancer first, level this up, then use my enchanter and level this up. And Ian might want to try and force me. He might lose the battle on the enchanter, but I would not get the opportunity to level up. So maybe he wants to start that fight, even though he knows he's going to lose it, because I'm going to have to waste an enchanter, essentially. So, there's strategy in maybe forcing your opponent to use a card that they don't want to, because they're not going to get the opportunity to power up their legion, especially if, like, in this scenario, I had the red title that made it better.
The ward breaker?
Yeah, that I had the ward breaker, so Ian knew I was trying, here it is. So Ian knew I was trying to score points and get as many as I could here. Him, maybe forcing me to discard one of these would be advantageous. And then you can also quest at a frontier, which is choose a frontier, which are these flipped over decks, where your mage is deployed to quest. Draw a card from that frontier, Then put the questing mage back into your hand. Unless stated, you can never quest with a mage the turn it is deployed. And then there's a city phase. If any city on the map is empty, which is these frontiers, take the top mage card and place it to fill the vacancy. If that frontier is empty, then ignore this step. The frontier's depleting abstractly represents the conflict gradually spreading outwards toward the end of Nanesh. So this is so you replace the card after all of that stuff resolves, and your turn is basically done. Then the next thing you do is replace the card. Then check if the game has ended at that point. If anyone has 7 victory or legacy points, then it's over. Or one of the frontiers is empty. The opponent gets one final turn. So check if the end game has been triggered. If a player has 7 or LP or one of the frontiers is empty, the game is triggered. Your opponent takes one final turn. The player with the most legacy points wins. If there is a tie, break it in the below order. The lowest level mage in your legion tracker, the highest level mage, and then the total number of mages. So whoever has the highest low-level mage wins. And then if both of you say have a level 2 mage as your lowest, then you say, okay, who has the highest? And then you both have a 4 as your highest, so tie again. And then compare the total number. If the game ends with both players having an equal amount of legacy points, then the game is still then the game is a draw. So then there's some stuff about there's an advanced level, which we're not going to get into right now, and some other modules like artifacts and traits and everything like that. So we can go over the cards here real quick and what they all do. So the Pyromancer, when they activate, the mage is at +1 level for this turn. That's pretty straightforward. That's the Rune Breaker that we discussed before. So the Rune Breaker is the one you have to have this symbol. Your mage has to have this symbol, so either an enchanter or a pyromancer, if they're going to successfully take a rune. Then the enchanter, we kind of saw what that one does. Place this mage in another area without another one of your mages, and assault if now opposed at a city. So that's kind of to do, like I kind of showed. Ian has his pyromancer there. I've got this enchanter here. Ian would have an enchanter here. I have my enchanter there. I can turn it sideways and have it just kind of jump over here and fight real quick. And then if I win, great. Then the petitioner, when you turn this one sideways, you're going to draw X mages and return all but 1. So you're just going to pick one of the decks and draw that many cards and then return all but 1 to the deck. Let's see if that is the petitioner. It doesn't say. And then Mentalist we kind of already discussed. Oh, I'm sorry. This one, when it's played, you're going to search any frontier for 1 mage and draw it. So pick one of the decks and find a mage out of it. The Mentalist is look at X mages in your opponent's hand and discard 1. Pretty self-explanatory. And then the other one is return a non-assaulting mage to their owner's hand for the petitioner. Chronomancer is you turn it sideways to turn one of your sideways mages upright. So that basically just allows one of your mages that have already activated to activate again. That's the only way you can basically undo one. And then the other one is you may immediately deploy up to X mages at one at a time. So that just lets you kind of spill out a bunch of your hand one at a time if you'd like. And then Drune will turn X mages sideways. So this basically allows you to turn someone else's mage sideways without activating their effect, basically locking them out or preventing them from using that effect.
So effects can be used at instant speed.
No, they kind of have to be played. Yeah, so you would. It's one of the actions that you can do is to turn it sideways, and you do that during your action phase. But deploying it, so like what you kind of have to do is like, so you would play Enchanter and then say go. And then I would play like Petitioner, or I guess that doesn't make sense. So first thing, like to do this one, so I would play Drune and then say go. And then you would play Enchanter and then say go. I'm like, oh man, I'm worried about that Enchanter doing something, turning sideways and like assaulting me over here. So instead of playing another card on my turn, I'm going to use my Drune, I'm going to turn it sideways, and I'm going to turn your Enchanter sideways so you don't get to activate it. So then I'm going to pass turn back to you, and now you're like, oh, dang, I wanted to jump over here with the Enchanter. Now I've got to just play something else out of my hand. Or you have to use your Chronomancer, okay, so you're like, okay, I'm going to turn mine sideways to undo this, and then next turn I can do that. So it actually, there are a lot of steps, and a lot of, like, that all kind of took a lot to explain, but you're only going to do one action on your turn, and then the other steps are just kind of cleaning up, resetting the board, and checking to make sure if anybody won. So it actually moves pretty quickly as far as just like, okay, for my turn I play this card, go. And then you're going to go, okay, I play this card, go. And I'm like, all right, I activate this card, now it's your turn. And then you go, okay, so it's going to move pretty, you get to just do one thing on your turn. And you can't, like I said, you can't play and then activate right away or play an assault right away. Mm-hmm. So basically someone always has kind of an opportunity to react to you. So once this guy is down on the table, he basically has the opportunity to just shut down, another mage on his turn that isn't already down, So when you see that guy come down, you're like, oh shoot, I better activate something if I have something important. I want to do that. So, and then I think that was it. And then there's, hold on one second, make sure I think I skipped over these real quick. Oh no, okay, so that's right. The blue effects here on the ones that have the balance symbol, that was the thing I skipped over. The ones that have the balance symbol only happen when the card comes back to your area here and is basically resolved by balancing. So there it is. So in other words, like we discussed, I'm going to move this Enchanter over here. I'm going to come back. This is a bad example. So I'm going to put like one of like Ian's cards right here. Or let me get your Drune. Let's do that one. Okay. So Ian plays this Drune, right? And I'm like, oh crap, that thing will stop me from being able to assault or whatever. So I decide in response, or on my turn, I'm going to activate this Enchanter and move it over here, place it in another area, and fight. And so in this case, I've got a level 2 Enchanter versus his level 1 Drune, so I'm going to win. So I would win here, and I would score that point, and this Enchanter would go here, and I'm out of balance. So as we discussed earlier, I would discard that Enchanter. I wouldn't get anything. But even if I was, just to not complicate things, let's say I was in balance, so then I add it there. But since I have an infinity symbol here, nothing happens. My infinity symbol helped me to steal this. Now Ian is going to put his guy back. And when his guy goes back, he checks, and he has he's still in balance here because that's only one higher than his other side. So since he balances out and this gets to stay here, he resolves that balance ability, which in Drune's case is score a point. So he would score a point. So we would actually both score 1 point there. So these other cards have the balance ability. So when this one's balanced, you get to
But,
search.
so like when this petitioner comes down here,
Right.
you are in balance, so you get that ability.
So then I would just search
Okay.
a frontier for any mage and draw it. Yeah, or if I wasn't, if for some reason now I have another petitioner, it comes back, oh look, that's 3, I'm not in balance, it gets discarded. I don't get the bonus of searching any deck for a card and drawing it. So, I mean, that's about it. Are there any questions on any of the individual cards? Or because it's kind of all in the cards.
So without a Chronomancer, there is no untapping.
Right,
Okay.
correct.
And I just want you to kind of go over real quick, like, show me the geography of what's a frontier, what's a city, what's an outpost.
Sure. So the frontiers are the face down decks.
Okay.
And these are opposing frontiers. And like I said, if you can see, this is the gray
Chaos
side.
and Harmony.
Right, so all of these cards face down are going to be gray cards. And you look over here, you have your gray cards. These are the 3 gray cards. There's multiple copies, but these are the 3 gray cards. There are
Right.
only these 3. Same with the whites. These are the 3 white cards. There's only these. So frontier, outpost, city.
Okay.
City, outpost, frontier.
And so there's like 6 lanes of battle, basically.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. And
So winning in the cities is points. Winning in the outposts is mages.
right.
Winning in the frontier is the ability to quest.
You just kind of draw. No, you just draw off you just get a random card off the top, and I believe and put the card that you use back into your hand. So we'll go here. Quest at a frontier. Choose a frontier where your mage is deployed to quest. Draw a card from that frontier, then draw the questing mage back into your hand. And unless otherwise stated, you may never quest with a mage the turn it is deployed. So so that just goes, so you just play this here, play your enchanter here, and you can be like, all right, I'm going to play this enchanter, and then I'm just going to say, okay, I'm questing with this enchanter here, I draw the card, oh, it's another enchanter, and I bring this enchanter back to my hand. So it's just kind of like free card draw. But once one of these frontiers, once one of the cities is depleted, meaning one of these stacks of rune stones is completely empty, the game ends at that point too.
Yeah, sounds
You
good.
choose your
At the beginning.
these roles after you see your cards or before?
Your cards are always the same. You get one of each in your starting hand.
Choosing a title. Oh, right.
Yeah, and then the title is chosen by whoever goes first, and that is determined randomly by handing out one of these, this one that has this staff symbol on it. Only one of the reference cards has that symbol. And so you just shuffle these and you deal them face down, and then you flip them over, and whoever has that one gets to go first. And they will pick their title. So we can go through that when we actually start the game, but it's easy enough. It doesn't really affect the rules. So any questions? Anybody?
I think we got it.
All right, seems good. Sounds good, and we'll see you in the game.